And I'm calling a meeting to order. This is the 54th annual general meeting of the North American Guild of Change members who are at the St. Andrew's Cathedral in the Von Holtland in Honolulu, Hawaii. So, as Tom said, we're being recorded, and as Richard said, please use the chat if you have any questions. We'll try and answer them as promptly as possible. And if we can't answer them, you'll find the answers for you at some point in time. So, I'm pleased to see as many people online as there are, which is good considering that it's 6 hours later on the East Coast. So I'll get started. I'm thrilled to be back in Hawaii for the NAGCR annual general meeting. The first and only time we met here was in 2000, and the event's 29th meeting was not to be forgotten by all those in attendance. In readying myself for this event, I reread the appropriate placard. For many attendees, it was the first time they had visited the 50th state, and opportunities were taken to extend their time here and take advantage of what Hawaii has to offer. Over 80 ringers took part, with many spouses and significant others. It is hard to believe that it is 25 years on. This is a picture I have in my apartment now, which shows Bruce and myself in Hawaiian shirts, and it was taken at the AGM. So, in a nice Hawaiian shirt frame. I thought I could bring that for memories. We were to come back in 2020, and Bruce and I visited here in February of that year to work with the locals and plan a meeting. But we all know what happens, and it has taken 5 years to get ourselves back here. I have so many wonderful memories of that AGM, and those of you that were here then, I'm sure also have great memories. When I reread the Catholic and read the, not the minutes, but the article about it, I realized that it was Meredith who wrote the report. And she did a fantastic job. Unfortunately, time has taken a toll on us, and we have lost many of those who were with us then. Others who attended are presently struggling with aches and pains or illness that have not allowed them to travel. However, there are a few of us that have been present at both meetings. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. We were hoping that Leif Reynolds, who was instrumental in getting the bells here at St. Andrew's, would be here, but unfortunately he was the caregiver for his wife and he was unable to make it. There were many similarities between 2000 and 2025. When I reread the article, it said there were too many quiet towers in North America. Well, we have the same problem now. It seems that we have more quiet towers. And the membership numbers were amazingly not more than 15 or 20 difference. And considering that we have more towers now, it's amazing that we don't have more members now, but it's quite close to what it was. At that meeting, we ran 6 court appeals during the meeting itself. And it was the usual, I think, Tuesday night, I think we went through Sunday. And I looked back and I ran the court appeal of Rutland inside. I don't think I've read Rutland since then, but that's the point. We also had a appeal that was run on Monday after the meeting, and that was Cambridge Major, and there were 3 first and methods for the band, Don Trumpler, unfortunately, he passed away this year, conducted it. So, that's just something, if you want to read more about the 2008 GM and see some great photos, please look at the Autumn 2000 Clapper, volume 27, number 3. At this year's meeting, we have, and I might miss people, so if I miss somebody or something, because perfect, please don't hesitate to say something. We have 2 honorary life members in attendance, Beverly Faber and myself. And we have 2 executive committee members in person here, which is Rob Bannister, our treasurer. I'm pleased that he's here, and myself. And online, we have Quilla, Rick, Tom, and Mary. So it's a very nice turnout of the executive committee. So I'm pleased about that. Okay. Past executive officers. Beverly Faber, who was membership secretary, and Chris Howe working health the same post. And online we have Madeline Cheeseman. Thank you, Madeline, for coming on, who was a past president. We also have Josh Burson, who was the former newsletter editor. And I don't know who that is next to Rick Bennett. Okay, so it is what it is though. Okay, we go to the person.
Name be just type in the chat who it is so that we have it for attendance. Thank you.
No, that's Richard.
BRI phone is me.
The little creatures. Yes, I have a little creature.
The person named B would be helpful, thanks.
Okay, please stand if you were present in 2000 for the AGM. Interesting. So, what was it? That's a good picture, Patrick. That's a good idea. There's not many of us, but I'm pleased to see that there are some of us here. Thank you. Okay, I think there's 11 ringing areas represented, 3 continents and 3 countries. So that's good. I have apologies for absence from Madeline and Nick Cheeseman, but Madeline's right here. And Nick, we're all hoping that he's getting better. Yes, we're praying. Diane Anderson Luring, Alan Nunley, and Bob and Marty Oldinger, who sent a couple of messages to some people that they unfortunately couldn't make it. But they were a big part in the 2000 AGM, as were Pam and Robert Berry and Alice and Walt Heron, and we miss Robert and Sasha. Alice. Oh, and Sasha, definitely Sasha, right here next to me. I'm looking at and your husband and Robin. Yeah. Okay. Loss of members through death. Last year we had a huge list of members that passed on. This year we only have 1 active member that died during the year, and that was Wendy Earl from Toronto, passed away in February 25. But I will announce that Jeff Meadows was never mentioned. He died in June of 22. He was not an active member when he died. He was from Newcastle. Pamela Pauline Graham has died. She was also not an active member. She ran in Miami. And she lived in England at the end. And Bob Butler, he was a good handbell ringer, but did ring some tower bells. He lived in Michigan, so we didn't really have Bells, he died in August of this year. So, does anybody know of anybody else that passed away that has not been mentioned? Current or past members? All right, if not, can we stand on the side, please? Respect. Thank you. So the next thing on the agenda, and we have to print out the agenda, it was on the list with all the interims and the AGM minutes, is the adoption of the minutes of the 2024 AGM. They were published in the annual report and in the autumn issue of the platform.
I move we accept those minutes as published.
Is there a okay, I got the motion. Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Helen Howard.
That. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any against or abstentions? We'll go on to the 2024 annual report. Everybody should have this cover, although this is still a printed copy. We'll get into that later. I saw 2 errors on page 62. There was a typo in Anne Gladstone's name. And on page 64, 2 D's, which stand for died, are missing for Phil Rogerson and Deborah Stores, who passed away during the year. Can I get a motion for adoptions with corrections noted?
So moved.
Thanks, Chris. Second, Beverly, okay. Thanks, Pat, to everybody. All in favor? Any against? No abstentions, okay, good. All right, the next thing I go to is the state of the field report. I had them reprint this, and it's very similar. So I need my glasses. The NAGCR continues to improve in every aspect of its mission statement. Our communications among ringers within and outside North America grows via many forms of social media and personal contacts. We have had many examples of publicizing change ringing to the general public, thanks to our public relations officer, Tom Farthing. Our expertise in bell ringing continues to expand, as seen by the appeal and border appeal reports that our appeal secretary, Rick DeQuee, compiles. Not only do we abide by the rules of the Central Council, we have good representation of members who support the organization by working on work groups. The executive committee meets on a regular basis on Sunday evenings at 7:30 Eastern every 4 to 6 weeks, mostly by Zoom, and continues to work well as a team for the Guild and its members. Executive interim reports have been posted for you to review, are online. Thanks to Tom for putting all these things in a document and shared by Mary, who sent it, and will be printed in the upcoming issue of the platform. Okay. What I'd like to do now is, if those of you, I don't know how many of you here read the interims or how many people online read the interims, but I just got a few bullet points for each interim that I thought was interesting that they mentioned. Mary said that we increased our membership from last year for 8 members from June 24 to June 25, which was 516. Rob said we're on track to finish in the black this year, so that's always good news. Quilla said and listed all the learning opportunities that were open to everybody during the 2025 year. And there was almost at least one thing a month, with I think February being the only month without anything listed. Tom writes that the teacher discussions continue on a bi-monthly basis. And while he said that the online gatherings were ending, we've had a change of heart and we're gonna have at least once of them a year. So that's good, and it'll probably be 6 months from this AGM will be the next one. Melissa said she really enjoys doing the clapper, and 25 bands sent in area reports, and I think that's a pretty good number. And she thanks Josh for making the seamless transition. Rick reports said we are up several appeals from last year to date, 29 appeals, 17 in tower and 12 in hand. And if you want to know more about what they will say, again, it's online, their documents, and it'll be in the next platform for you to read. Okay, so not only do we meet regularly to discuss field issues, but we all have jobs that we do independently all year long. Each officer completed a listing and narrative of what their jobs entail. This is available to any guild member to read. I have them here, anybody. I have here. If anybody wants to read the duties, then again, I don't have to do them and read them. Nobody will ever volunteer to do anything. Anyhow, so Rob, our treasurer, has done a great job managing our guild funds, assisted by Ann Hutton, who manages the Canadian account. We put Rob to the test with a couple of above and beyond tasks this year, which took time, research, and effort to complete. He has done a stupendous job with our monies. Melissa Chang, clapper editor, has been a most welcome addition to our committee. She has ably taken over where Josh left off and has so far put together 2 excellent newsletters. I am so glad that I went to Seattle during the weekend last January and met her. It's that personal contact is what helps. Rick Dupuy, our Peel secretary, continues keeping Peel and Quarter Peel records up to date and faithfully takes the executive committee minutes. We also appreciate him being the devil's advocate on issues which makes the rest of us think things out more thoroughly. We rely on him to compose rationales and wording ballot questions. Mary Platt, membership secretary, does a fantastic job maintaining our membership lists and the database. Her job involves working closely with several of the other executive officers, the printers, and of course the membership itself. Quilla Ross, education officer, leads the Ringing Education Development Discussion Team to address teaching needs and workshop requests, and that team has taken on recruitment and retention as well. In January, we had a segment workshop in Philadelphia that was organized by the team. It was well received and deemed a success by both participants, helpers, and tutors. And the tutors were Tim's here, and he did a wonderful job, and quite a few of the helpers and participants are here too. Rob, you'll be there. You should come for a part of it. Segment workshop. No, you aren't here. Oh, you came to me. BBM on them. Okay. Get my admins confused. All right. So Tom Farthing, our public relations officer, has done a great job publicizing ringing weekend events and getting media attention. We've online gatherings, which was a result of COVID and ended. We'll be returning for hopefully once a year event, which I mentioned before. In addition, he has helped greatly with the NAGCR website. He has kept it up to date beautifully, puts on events, makes additions and corrections where he can. He administers the Jeff Smith Memorial Young Writer Award, and this year we had 3: Addison Peter from Kalamazoo, Benjamin Whitsett from Kalamazoo, and Chloe Osborne from Seattle. All of them selected one of the Coleman books, which were personally signed by Steve Coleman as a prize for the award. Which I think is exciting. None of my Coleman books. I don't have any of them signed. Mike Harrison, our archivist, visited Philadelphia again in January and continues to work on the archival material that is presently stored in the basement of St. Mark's. A report on the 2025 Central Council meeting in Sheffield will be in the next plaque. All 3 of your CC reps were in attendance, and that was Beverly, Chris, Howard, and myself. And you are reminded that there is a vacancy. Thanks to Laura, Ken Ward, Alan Lumley, Tim Barnes, Kira Chase, and Beverly Faber for volunteering to work with the Central Council. Beverly is one of the trustees. Here is a workshop leader. Tim works on that committee. Well, it's not a committee anymore, on that work group. And Alan also works with one of the committees. And Laura is working with publications. Okay. Our guild handles have now been requested by Colorado. And Quebec, who was going to have them for the rest of this year, was willing to give them early. And they've slowly been finding their way to Colorado via several of our members. I think from what I've read lately, I think the handbills were in, they weren't in Quebec, got to Toronto. Then Xavier from Kalamazoo was visiting Toronto, picked them up, so they're probably in Kalamazoo now. And I don't know, I guess they're gonna then go maybe to Chicago. They'll get to Colorado, sure. Published appeal books go through 2002, and there are enough appeal records since then for 2 new volumes. Funding is set aside.
May I ask what city in Colorado?
I think close to where Rick Dupuy lives.
Denver.
Denver?
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, members willing to volunteer their time and demand for the volumes, which often end up gathering dust, would be needed to justify new volumes. There's a lot of work that goes with printing, the appeals, making sure names are spelled right, footnotes are correct, all kinds of things. Unfortunately, we don't have any of our appeal books on display this year. They're a little heavy. We couldn't drive them over the border, and we have to fly over. And we don't have the Sharpcliffe desk set on display. I didn't really want to bring them over myself. We didn't want to bring it over myself, but I have details about it. It's history if you're interested. Like I said last year, digital appeal records are being preserved. There is a template available for keeping records at the guild level. You can print and frame your own appeals, and they will look very professional. While there are still dormant and active towers, and everybody knows it's something I've been trying to change and get them reactivated again. I am very pleased to share that there has been quite a bit of re-energizing around the guild. St. Thomas's and St. Paul's, Houston have been recruiting and training and ringing. Brian Anderson at St. Thomas's has written, with Alan Lumley's help, a Bell curriculum for students. So They meet, I think, almost, they meet 4 times a week doing, practical stuff, learning how to handle, learning how to ring, plus getting some background on what ringing is all about, and, the history of bell ringing. We're hoping that some of them will get the bug and continue learning to ring once their course is over. And it'd be nice if more churches that have schools associated with them come up with something like that, but I guess it's not easy. Brewster Bells, which were in Melrose School, which is now Copeland House. We talked about it last year at Sewanee. I spoke with them recently, and they are very much interested in having the bells inspected. Now, it's been over 10 years since the bells have been rung, so they do need be looked at, obviously. I don't know what condition they're in, but that's good. While it's not a priority for Copeland House, I guess it's, and it was on the back burner last year, maybe it's moved up to the front burners, I don't know. So I'm excited, and I talked to Tim earlier this time to ask if the tailors and people that were coming through maybe could fit it in. If not this time, another time, but so they know that they're interested. So we got our fingers crossed, because that would be nice to have them going again. The Reg Hitchings tour that traveled to towers in the South in March were able to inspect the Miami bells and declare them fit to ring. That was also another tower where there hadn't been much ringing lately. One of the ringers there, I think it was Jeff Harvey, even gave a handling lesson to an eager new recruit. So I gotta keep following up with that. They just had a big event in Miami. It's the 100th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't get a response from the person in charge of clergy. Is he a dean? Okay. I'll follow up with him again. Hoping we can get somebody to be like a tutor in residence. On that same tour, Dallas was unable to give them permission to ring, and I suggested that they go to Abilene. Abilene was thrilled to have a visitor, and a great time was enjoyed while ringing at another isolated tower. Chicago was active and hoping to have an event in May. Fingers crossed for that, because I still haven't rung the bell, the number 4 bell, which has my name on it, and Bruce's. Newcastle is another tower that is back on its feet. Beverly has instigated the return of Sunday service ringing and practices twice a month. In addition, Philly and Newcastle have been visiting each other again for practices. Philly had a skills workshop earlier this year, and it was well attended with Newcastle ringers. So we were having another one in November. We did St. Martin's, and now we're going to do St. Mark's. However, there is still a lot to do, as there are other towers that are fallen silent recently. This is why a succession plan is so very important, not so much with the national organization. Every individual tower should have some kind of succession plan, so that when somebody passes on or somebody moves away, that has been like the instigator to keep it going. We need to have it going. I think Washington is probably one of the best places that has a good succession, the way they have their elections and the way they have their, things moving on. And I'd like to see more of that. Tim Barnes has been instrumental in organizing and having tailors come over to North America again this year to inspect towers and make repairs if necessary. I very much enjoyed reading the clapper, including all the area reports, and hearing and talking to many ringers. And in my opinion, the guild is healthy in so many ways and a lot better off than many other associations and guilds. So that is my state of the guild report, and I'll go back to the agenda, which over here. executive actions report, the executive action, so our committee meets and we've been trying to put a paragraph or a box in the flapper that gives, a summary of what we discussed or summary of some of our actions. So in the last couple of meetings, we had the exchange rate review. And upon the treasurer's recommendation, there will be no change for 2026. So the Canadian fees will stay the same as they have been for dues. We have agreed to accept the Ringing World's offer of faded diary notice for 2 years to compensate us for them not publishing our clapper ads quarterly for several years. In the clapper, the Ringing World has had an ad in every issue. It was a half-page ad. And we kept putting it in, putting it in, putting it in, putting it in, putting it in. Usually we try to get revenue for ads. But we had a reciprocal agreement where our ad would be in the Ringing World 4 times a year. I get the Ringing World. All of a sudden I'm realizing I haven't seen this ad for years. I haven't seen it for years. So I, talked to Will, the editor, and we had a discussion and he said he didn't have a really good excuse, but he said he took it, he said it's gone, and it's been gone for several years, because when he showed me the last ad, it was old, old numbers, old dates, that you're supposed to send the money to Maggie Willens, who we don't have any relationship with her for sending our money over there to get a subscription to the platform for years. So anyhow, we came up with this plan that, I don't know how many of you get diaries, but in the diaries, there are faded notes, I think for the last couple of years. And we're going to be listed on these faded notes for a couple of 2 years, I think. So might be a good year to get a diary, because we'll be going over. That's what we're doing. And then we're going back though to reciprocal ads. We decided we'll go back, and it won't be a half-page ad. I think it's going to be an eighth page. Yeah, because he gave us a small, it's could probably be an 8-page ad. A monetary grant of $360 Canadian was given to Mission British Columbia to assist them in getting a simulator for their tower and helping to provide for their future. So we were pleased to do that. And there will be a ballot question this year regarding decoupling the print clapper and annual report from membership dues. Get more into that in a minute. So that was some of the executive actions that we discussed at our meetings. Old business. I want to thank Nick and Madeline. Okay, for undertaking the task of producing a guild-wide 2025 events calendar that is on our website. And I've had several positive comments. See the whole year at once. Please submit to them if your tower is having any events and activities for the upcoming year. So if there's going to be another striking competition, it'd be nice to get it on so everybody can start making their plans around it. So, and anything else, the Towers Festival will be good to know when that's going to be and where it's going to be, so we can plan. And again, like I said, I'm hoping to have an event in Chicago in May of this next year. Our succession planning discussions will resume. In the spring 2025 clapper, there was a graphic in the shape of a bell Richard has been to one of the meetings that we talked about, succession planning. And came up with a lot of good ideas. We put it in a clapper and we asked for people to send comments. And he doesn't remember. Nobody commented, nobody did anything, so we just have to go again with, pushing, but I really think the only way is going to be to talk one-on-one or one-on-two, to get people to get some volunteers to do certain things, like maybe there's somebody sitting right in this audience who would like to be our new webmaster, because while Tom does a lot of the updating, we need somebody to just have some of the other permissions. So that certain things can be done, and for example, changing some of the things on like the dues pages. Anyhow, I think that's all I have for business. New business. I would go on. We were looking for someone to take on the position of webmaster. So if anybody knows anybody who has, I won't say time, I'll say the interest and expertise, please contact me. We also have a vacancy for the Central Council representatives. And I would say that nominations remain open for all positions, including the Central Council places until October 25th. The other thing we're looking at is to talk about is the ballot vote to decouple dues from the printed placard and the annual report. Since 2008, dues have been the same. We have not raised the dues, we have not done anything with the dues. In 2011, we added another, I guess you would say we added religious category for the people from Orleans. The people from Mission don't have money, they can't, or they just can't become members, unfortunately. But we added that. So it's 17 years that the dues have not been raised. So they still remain what they are. But if you wanted a printed placard and a printed annual report, you paid an additional fee, which was $10. Well, everybody here knows that since 2008 or even 2018, postage is going up. Cost of paper is going up. The printer is charging over. $10 does not cover mailing 4 clappers and an annual report. So we are separating the dues from the printed copies. So the people that are members will still get electronic copies. We'll get the electronic annual report and get 4 electronic copies. If you still want the printed copies, we're going to have to pay more for it. So you are now paying $10 more. We estimated it was going to be $35 more for these 5 items. So you would be paying $25 more for it. And we're not totally sure how many people will continue to get printed copies. I think most people will if they enjoy printed copies and want to have them. I think we estimated what 75% will still continue with it. Why does that number figure out?
That's an assumption that we're making for the 2026 budget, that maybe a quarter of the current subscribers would switch to. But we don't know.
Yes, we don't know. It'll be up there. So there will be a ballot vote on whether or not to do that, along with the budget for 2026. I'm correct with that, right?
Yeah, so because we're proposing, the executive committee is proposing that the dues be decoupled from, or that the cost of the printed subscriptions be decoupled from the dues. That's change in the existing due structure, right? Or there's a proposed change to the existing view structure, there needs to be a ballot, including a budget. So we came up with the 2026 budget. So that'll be the ballot question. And just to clarify, the proposal is not to increase the dues for anyone that's only getting an electronic clapper. It's simply to separate, to not even include the costs of the printed subscription and the dues. And going forward, that the cost of the subscription would be set at whatever the costs are to mail and print the clapper. And currently we're estimating that based on the last 4 issues of the clapper and the last annual report, it's actually about $35 per person per subscriber. So that cost could go down or up going forward.
Right.
Would it still be the case that I don't know if it changes tower to tower, the tower captains or the area representative, or if it like gets a physical complimentary physical copy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would continue. And that's
That would continue.
a cost for the guild. That's why we still are going to carry an expense for the clapper for the complimentary copies that are sent in addition to the subscribers.
But all the incumbents now get them out.
I'm assuming that we'll still be in the lab if, you know, basically no one decides to take a copy. I mean, do you know what I'm trying to say? That the
Right.
budget won't be affected by how many people decide that they want to get a printed copy.
Well, you mean in terms of our being in the black?
Correct, yes.
Well, right, the idea is that the cost of the subscriptions will be matching the cost for mailing the paper stop.
Right.
That the guild would be able to continue paying for the complimentary copies out of its general budget without tax, and then you're dealing with the black. But the way it is now is the members, about 80% of the members just get the electronic copy, but those folks are subsidizing with those who are getting the printed copies, so more and more of the dues are going towards paying for the printed subscription. So once that situation is remedied by increasing the cost of the subscription, that'll actually help the guild's bottom line.
We were also looking into seeing if we could change the weight of the paper, different ways of nailing the copies, because right now they go first class, we thought about second class. There's been a whole lot of things. We're talking to the printer about different ways to maybe reduce the cost. Yes, Ellen.
If you want to go bulk rate, you need a minimum of 200.
Right, 200.
Maybe you know that.
Yes. Yeah, so these are the kinds of things we're talking about, but this proposal is going on the ballot, and we're hoping it'll get approved. Okay, all right, where was it? Okay, so I think we're down to announcements. So I want to first thank the St. Andrew Bringers, the start. Wonderful event. I mean, Richard, Patrick, Rufus, Sasha, Pam, Walt, who else am I missing? Huh? John Paul, yeah, where is he? I thought it's one, okay. Oh, yeah, Lynn, who's coming back to Wendy. And her husband Patrick have helped a lot, so it's wonderful. Carol, I forgot to mention you as coming from Oklahoma as an unattached. She learned to ring here also quite a few years ago too. So I'm glad you're here. I want to thank Sasha for taking the minutes, and it'll be fine. We'll get it together. I want to thank David Smith and Kathy for doing the art course. I heard it was a fantastic success. We also have, it's continuing the Ringing World discount for new and lapsed subscriptions. It's available. Will hasn't sent me the flyer, but there is a discount if you want to take that as a subscription. Due to tariff issues, the Ringing World is temporarily postponed sending packages to the United States. So when I was at the Central Council meeting, they asked me to bring the calendars that I knew I had orders for already, so I brought them over, but paper weighs a lot. And that's probably why postage is so expensive, so I did bring them over, and I have also offered to order Ringing World diaries for people, and I will do that again, and calendars, so at the moment, they're not sending, I don't know what's gonna happen, but if anybody wants either or, let me know. TJ, do you want to mention the next?
Yes, I do. Next September, there's gonna be another AGM. If you had a good time this week, you should come again, not so long, probably next year. It'll be in Victoria, British Columbia next year. You know where that is, it's next to Seattle, and then you take a little ferry, it'll be lovely. This will be Memorial Day weekend.
September 4th to September 7th.
Labor Day weekend, it's a holiday. One of those ones.
It's one of those ones.
September 4th through 7th, it'll be wonderful, please come, we'd love to have you.
Yes, it'll be nice. It'll be very nice. What else can I want to say? I think that's it. Any other announcements? I know Meredith.
Jared and this, so some of you may have heard, some of you may have not. We've been having issues with the capital people or community about the last 6 months. And we discovered, about a few weeks ago, that one of the bearings went bad. So it's been a long, complicated story, but basically they had hoist the bell out of the frame. And we found the machine shop, put in a new bearing, there have been some issues, but I understand it's back in action just in time for appeal on the 17th, so this weekend. If anybody wants to see pictures of how it looked or the work that we had to get done, I do have some. But anyway, or if anybody has any issues with bearings and would like some advice, like we have some first-hand experience. But we are back in action, if anybody heard, they'll be out of action.
Inspect your bearings.
Yes, please expect. It
It
is on our agenda to check all the rest of the areas. Hopefully we won't find any issues, but
That's good, because I've been following that conversation on my phone.
yeah. And like I said, I do have some pictures if anybody's curious.
Is that covered by insurance?
I think we're out of warranty considering the bells are, and they're more than here.
It's under warranty.
I don't know. I mean, we're in a little bit of an anomalous situation because the people covers our expenses. So that they just paid the machine shop.
Tim, do they announce the spec bearings when the tailors goes through, right?
Yes, I think they would. I don't know how much you can do without taking them apart.
Yeah.
Side.
And they, okay,
I think they notice if they don't swing it.
okay, so then they might be, okay. Any other announcements?
Just a comment from the chat, Josh would like to share many things. The bearings saga should go in the cloud.
Okay. That's okay. David, did you?
It is, just like to say, the fact that after the M1, Simon said, Kathy and I came across from Australia. The reason you have to import people is that sadly at the moment, North American Bill doesn't have any art tutors. There are only about 18 in the world, and we're the most active ones outside the UK. I should explain that we do normally run an art module, the Association of Bringing Teachers, during the ADSAT festivals. But there, either it's a multi-tower location, so there's no problem pitching tower for the day, or if I'm here as one tower, we do it before or afterwards. The only reason we appeared to sort of barge in and rant on the Monday was that the people who already said that they didn't want the bells sounded at all on Monday, and Richard very cleverly thought, well, in that case we can have one because the bells are tired, so it's a pretty decent time. I hope it won't continue for too long, that North Bill doesn't have any tutors, but in the meanwhile, we certainly both loved coming across. We really enjoyed it. It's been great. So if you want to invite us back again, that would be lovely.
No to Victoria.
Victoria's a gorgeous city.
The other thing I want to mention is one of the things as part of the module towards the end is a discussion about what comes next and follow up. I have mixed feelings about ART. I think it's been an excellent organisation that's achieved an enormous amount, but like most excellent organisations, it doesn't get everything right. One of the things that doesn't work well in the UK is the follow-up. There's meant to be a scheme of mentoring. And if there was a huge pool of very good teachers who could look after slightly less good ones, that would work well, but that isn't the case, so it doesn't. We do things rather differently in Australia. I would love to follow that up by saying we do it so much better. We do it differently, but also get it right. And it was something discussed when I was running modules here 2 years ago. I do feel this is something that could be discussed further, partly maybe to teaching, but also I think sort of the cooperation between the North American Guild and NAGCR. We have a lot in common. We're by far the biggest non-UK meeting organisations. We all know that occasionally the UK forgets about us. Not in a nasty sort of going away thing. It's just, oh, of course, that's forgotten them. I think also I'm particularly interested in the teaching side of things, and I think in both cases, some of the problems that the UK has, we don't have. So we have a lot in common. I personally feel that there is a need for greater support amongst teachers. I don't think this is the time to discuss it now, but if anyone has any ideas for any sort of cooperative ventures between North American Guild and ANZAD, do please let us know. If it's anything to do with teaching, let me know, or Quilla or Tom, anything more general, Eileen. But do have a think about that and let's come up with some ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any announcements or things to share? David?
Just wondering if I could ask you guys to hold in your thoughts and prayers for Maggie Dillon, one of our little readers. Back in July, she was diagnosed with 2 prolapses. She did have surgery in August, which allegedly went well. 2 days later, she was in severe pain, more complications. She's out of the London course right now with Vic and their family. That's a summer deal they go out every year. She's struggling. So some thoughts from us.
Yes, Maggie and Dick were here in 2000, that AGM. And unfortunately, I put residents. Rick, you were on your thing about.
Yeah,
Okay, is there anything else? Because what I would do is I would close the meeting now and we can talk about the benefit tonight. So meeting adjourned. Sorry, 56 will be.
Yes, very exciting from TJ representing on behalf of the Victoria band. I'll very much be trying my best to go to Victoria, British Columbia next year. That means that I will be asking either David, Wilson, TJ, or Angelica to maybe get the banner and our beautiful blue NAGCR flag as far as the West Coast, and to avoid international postage charges to Victoria. And then regarding the banquet tonight, I'm so excited that practically everyone here, I think, is coming to that. So it's at 6 o'clock in the hotel, that some people have been staying at on Bishop Street. The restaurant down there called the Dotted Line. So it's at the AC Hotel on Bishop Street, and it's scheduled to start at 6 o'clock, and food will be served at 6:30. So, come at 6, buy a cocktail, buy a beer, whatever you want, and we'll eat at 6:30, alright.
The address is 1111 Bishop Street.
Any other questions about the banquet?
Do we leave our cars back to you?
You can, yeah. Anyone else needing to leave the car parks here, we have additional, parking passes if you need it.
I'd like to thank the officers. That was an excellent report. And I think that all of us who are not officers should be very grateful that we're doing the work for us.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this evening. I hope everybody else is having fun. This has been a great,
Oh, yeah.
it's a great event.